All right, Nick. Coming in with the lead. Solid lead at that. I won't get too overly braggadocious just because I don't want anybody blaming me for anything that might go wrong. So I won't go there. But nights like tonight make me semi-sad. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the potential's there. They just don't have the consistency. And some of it's because they've been hurt. And I mean, I know there's a lot of teams that are hurt. I don't want to go down this road, but TJ Friedl not being a part of the vast majority of the season. You don't know how much of an impact it ultimately made, but it feels like it's a significant one. Easier said than done, though. There's a reason that some teams are able to survive, and we weren't, and they're better for it, and we're not. So I'm not making excuses. But who knows? I don't know. Who knows?
What'd you think about? I put it on the back half of the rundown, so I thought maybe we'd talk about it here. What'd you think about that hit by pitch there?
I didn't think it was intentional at all, but I understood what the umpires were trying to do. I think the umpires were trying to get ahead of it. If the umpires don't do anything there, and somehow that guy's just wild and he's nervous now and he hits another guy, you have a real problem.
I can't understand why you come out and try to argue that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, David Bell kind of came out and was chirping a little bit too, but I get it. I understand all of the whole thing. He came out to argue to say you just threw out my pitcher, and he threw one pitch that got away from him. It's not like he
gave up a moonshot.
That
adds to it.
That does add to it, but I think that was a coincidence personally. Could be wrong.
I agree. I don't think it was intentional, but I think the optics there,
correct,
pretty well warrant you to throw out of the game. And I just think it's just give it up, man. It's a lose. Why are you coming out and arguing that? The dude got hit in the head. I mean,
I just think the argument was simply put that he didn't do it intentionally. And if he didn't do it intentionally, he doesn't deserve to get thrown out of the game. It's part of baseball. I mean, I think that's the argument. Whether or not you want to argue that long, I don't know. I'm with you on that. I don't think I would have stood out there and argued that long. I would have probably said a couple zingers myself and got out of there. I would have asked him, has he
Yeah. Congrats to the
Damn, they get a run. They got to run.
Fuck, I don't want to see you go out like this.
Damn. Yeah, I would have told the umpire, something along the lines.
Yeah, definitely not a situation to have a belabored argument.
Correct, yeah.
Come on.
That guy's got a Tim Tebow jersey.
That's electric.
What a wild jersey that is.
All right, let's get a box score up here.
Yeah. Another tornado warning. I don't.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a tornado warning right now. I don't know. At this point, I give up, Nick. I'm not doing the whole I'm not doing the whole worry about it thing. If I get blown out right here on this stream, then I'll become famous. Hopefully, Chatterbox Reds does record numbers the next show, and hopefully, I get to see Jesus. If not, I tried. But yeah, I don't know. There's been like what seems like 9 tornado watches on Chatterbox Red streams.
Yeah, it's been a few.
All right, Buck. Let's get out of here, brother.
All right.
Montas to the Brewers. Breaking by Alex Wallace. He seems to be.
Is he trolling us?
No, he seems to be a real guy.
Oh, John Heyman. Montas going to the Brewers in agreement. Well, I guess that's
not a thing.
Wasted time.
Look at Friedl. What a catch, man. My gosh. Good play by Jake. He's struggling at the plate, man. Good golly.
So the NL Central leaders wanted Frankie Montas. Interesting.
What are you trying to suggest that it? What are you saying?
I don't know. The last time I was doing a stream, this guy's the worst pitcher in the history of baseball.
Well, don't put it past him. Let's wait. Let's see what he does for the Brewers. I mean,
I hope you guys are right.
Are we supposed to get out here and quote tweet that and say we're on live? I think that's what you do.
Oh yeah, I think I probably got to change the thumbnail, don't I?
Yeah, something. There's a lot going down now.
Much work.
So what did we get? I mean, I need to have an idea.
I really don't think it's much.
Well, no, we're probably gonna get like fucking Austin Hendrick or something.
Cash, just cash.
Cash considerations.
So I guess who's pitching tomorrow? Martinez, if he's still around.
No, Martinez better not be around. That's the only guy I actually think we could get some real value out of. You gotta trade Martinez.
All right, I gotta work on a thumbnail now. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew. I told my wife. I said there's gonna be a trade right as I'm about to go live here. All right, that's the ball game.
Not quite good enough though, is it? All right, we're gonna do a show, folks. We're going to do a show. Don't know if Montas is here to stay or go, but I do know this. We won the baseball game, which means we got a second to figure it all out now, don't we?
Get out of here, baseball! They scored! Oh, my God! You believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep. In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Landa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded. The outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on. Long drive. Right field. And this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club. Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Line to the right field. Junis, the first Red ever, with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line, doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
There was once a time where a man stood tall in Goodyear, Arizona, and he felt confident as ever to stare into the camera and look at any journalist that was willing to stare him in the eye and say, I plan to win 20 myself. And it just turns out he just needed a little bit more time. His time appears to have ran out on July 29th of 2024 as Frankie Montas, Montas. Nobody really knows exactly how to say his last name, but he is headed to the Milwaukee Brewers, and we wish him the best. As far as the Reds, they did win 7-1. I'm not sure how many actually really care about that, but I do know this. It did make a difference in the run differential, and we are here to enjoy it. Nick, a lot going on right now on X.com. Hopefully you're doing well.
Brewers will send 2 players to the Reds for Montas per source. Players are currently being informed of the deal. So that's the latest. I'm sure the chat will probably be on it.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think the chat's probably going to be ahead of the game on our end. They might know more about the situation as we do, and that's why they're there. They're going to let us know. Shout out to Alex Wallace. And he is always in this chat, and he is always on top of it. And he had it first. I think that's the big J journalist thing to do, right? Just to say who had it first. Pretty sure Alex Wallace was the first man on.
Whoa. Here we go. Joey Wiemer and Jakob Junis. Those are big league players.
No way we're getting Joey Wiemer. No
and that's Mark Feinstein just tweeted it. No way. He's having a down year, I think.
I don't care. We got a major league player.
2.
Who's the other one?
I mean, Jakob Wiemer has a -6 WRC plus right now. 105 WRC plus at AAA. Jakob Junis, I believe he dominated the Reds last year when he was with the Giants, if I remember correctly. He's a pitcher.
Yeah, he is a 31-year-old right-handed pitcher. So, I don't know. Don't know. He's got a 2.4. He's got a 2.4 ERA this year. Is he hurt? He's only thrown in 10 games. I don't know. We'll figure it all out as we go. I'm sure that you're sitting here trying to figure it out as we speak. Junis
pitched yesterday.
Well, yeah, I mean, was he hurt earlier this year? Why does he only have 10?
He was used as a reliever, so I guess they haven't been using him as a starter. I'm assuming his last several outings are all, but they're like bulk innings, so like two.
He's only thrown 26 innings,
but he's been used as a reliever. Yeah, he missed. He was his
still
first
not
game
a lot.
His first game was April 2nd, and then he came back June 22nd. So I mean, pitching well. I mean, his FIP is 4.38, but the xFIP's 3.87. So, I mean, that seems like a pretty. I don't see what his contract situation is. Just 1 year, $7 million. So that's kind of weird. The Brewers would give that player up.
Yeah, they must think they have somebody that obviously is better in the pen, or they like the Reds where they just don't really care about the pen as much because they have plenty of arms. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just they're hoping that Wiemer figures it out.
Yeah, I mean, Wiemer's a flyer. I mean, this guy was fourth round pick in 2020. When he came up, he was a decently ranked prospect for them, I believe. I can tell you a little bit more in a second. I'm on Junis right now. Junis's injury was he was struck by a ball during batting practice. So it wasn't like that's, I guess, a good thing. It wasn't like a shoulder injury or anything. It was an uninflicted injury. That's why he was out from April. Actually, no. April 6th, he landed on the IL with a shoulder impingement, and then he came back, and then he got hit in bat, or maybe he wasn't back. Maybe it was just with the team, and he got struck in batting practice on April 22nd, and that's what's had him out the whole time. But yeah, I mean, and he's been used as a starter before, so it'll be interesting, Trace. I thought when the Brewers got him this year, they were getting him to be a starter, or at least a starting option. So I almost wonder if the Reds are going to maybe put him in the rotation, try to slowly stretch him out here. Let's see, what did he make it? His first game of the year, Trace, on April 2nd was a start. He pitched 4 innings. And then when he came back as a reliever. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Reds are trying to throw him in the rotation and see if they can, get a flyer on Joey. Well, I mean, I guess that's possible. My guess is they got Junis as an option to give them some innings, and then they're going to try to take a flyer on Wiemer.
Can you double check this on your end? But Wiemer looks like a guy that his service time when's his service time run out? 2029.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a flyer. It's what it is. But I don't know. Big, strong kid, outfielder. I don't know. I mean, he's not got good numbers, so I'm not going to sit here and suggest that it's.
He does not have good numbers, but he was a top 100 prospect going into last season.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a project, but I mean, it's not like he isn't a guy without any talent. I mean, this is a guy that, but this is by 2 different publications. Baseball Prospectus actually had him ranked number 65 going into last year. MLB Pipeline had him number 90. Baseball America had him unrated. He played in the 2022 Futures game. So he's had a terrible, terrible year, but I still think that's a pretty good return for Frankie Montas, so I wasn't sure you were getting anything out of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. All things considered, I'm 100% taking the deal. I would openly say that it's not like we didn't fleece the Brewers either. I mean, the Brewers have an opportunity now to go and make a postseason, and they get a serviceable starter. You know, as much as people might want to make fun of or think that Montas, isn't worth his weight, which is worth a lot. He's decent, and I think that I'm not going to sit here and make fun of the Brewers for taking Montas because I don't know their situation all that well, but he can be serviceable.
No, I think this is a good deal for both sides. Like, absolutely.
I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying the general public.
Yeah, I mean, like, to kind of round out my thoughts here as I'm trying to do 80,000 things and figure this out. If I was the Brewers, I'd be excited to get Montas because Montas has, I think, a higher upside than a guy like Junis has. For the Reds, they're getting Junis. My guess is they're probably going to try him out in the rotation or at least as a multi-inning reliever to help them finish out this year. He's on a 1-year deal. And then you're getting a flyer in Wiemer. My guess is Wiemer probably goes to Louisville. That's my guess. I think he's in AAA right now for the Brewers. He hasn't been in the majors since May 22nd. So he goes to AAA.
Right.
You see if you move him to a new organization. He's a guy that went to UC, so it's going to be exciting for him. He's kind of been a disappointment up to this point with the Brewers. He's going to get a fresh start. I'm assuming you send him to AAA, and now you have an actual potential big league outfielder at AAA, along with Rhys Hines, and you have a little bit more of some potential. Now, these guys might all flame out. I'm not saying they won't, but you have a little bit more, and so I like this deal for both sides, really.
Feels like the Reds are Nick Krall, I guess, specifically, or Meter, whoever the hell is making the decisions, even though it's Nick Krall. You're just adding another piece. You're adding another lottery ticket. It's almost like if you buy enough scratch-offs, they're all kind of a bad deal individually, but maybe you strike gold in one of them and you get lucky. Wiemer's a guy that hit a ball like 700 feet when I was in Milwaukee, so I have a relatively, I guess, small perception of him just based off of what I seen, but I seen 6 at-bats, to be fair. So I don't know. I'm not going to make a ton about the trade, but anytime you're at the deadline like the Reds are, I think what it definitely does do, Nick, is it paints a very clear picture that the Reds 100% now are just selling anything that they possibly can. And I think that's a good decision. I don't think it's a hard decision. I don't think that they're in a tough spot. But just because you're in that spot doesn't mean you're going to make the right choice. And I think they're making the right choice because this team isn't good enough, in my opinion, to risk not taking a flyer or two because you want to hold on to something that probably won't ultimately matter in the end. Nick Martinez's neck. You mentioned what are they going to do with Junis? Maybe he just takes Nick Martinez's spot when Nick Martinez leaves.
You are still down a starter. I mean, remember, the Reds had 4 starters before Spires came back up tonight. So you're now down a starter. So either Junis has to take that spot or Nick Martinez takes that spot. One more point on Wiemer, and I do want to have a little bit more of a conversation. We have a lot of people watching, so
sure.
I think we should probably spend a little bit more time on this than the game.
Yeah, I mean, the Reds won 7-1, and they hit a couple home runs, and we are one step closer to the end of the season. Montas to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah. One really good thing about Wiemer, outside of the obviously offensively has been very, very bad. But last year he played quite a bit with the Brewers. 89th percentile in sprint speed. This guy's very fast. 93rd percentile in outs above average, +8. And he wasn't even a full-time player. He only got 367 at-bats and was +8 outs above average. So a very good defensive player. Reds don't have a whole lot of that in the outfield. So, this also gives you a little bit more, athleticism in the outfield. He is a right-handed bat as well. I don't know what the splits look like. I'm going to assume he probably hits left-handed pitching. And maybe he's just a platoon player. But he has the potential to be a really, really good platoon player, a player that is really good defensively, that's a good base runner, but maybe has the potential to be more than that. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I'm pretty excited about this deal for Montas. It's not what I expected at all. I did not expect the Reds to get 2 big league players back. That to me is pretty wild. Junis is more just to help you get through the year, so it's not really going to help you at all in the future. But you got a bona fide top 100 prospect from 14 months ago.
Well, you definitely, and not just that, but you have no leverage at the end of the season. I mean, as mentioned, Montas, they have a mutual agreement. I guess in a perfect world, they both would agree on the exact same circumstances and the exact same premises, but let's be honest, he's a free agent at the end of the season. That's what he is. And you get a guy in Wiemer that you hope figures it out. It's as simple as that. The other thing that I want to add here as we kind of start to talk through this is that I hope, if anything, this is a sign or is a showcase of how desperate teams are getting around this deadline with this many buyers. And this is what I've been saying the whole time about when you have a season like this and you have a playoff system like this where there's so many different buyers, you might be surprised on what you can get. And we're not going to go through the laundry list of names of people on this team that could get traded, but if anything, it's a optimistic viewpoint that Nick Martinez could bring back a legitimate haul. And if there is more than one team interested in Jonathan India, I would be interested to see what ridiculous haul you could get back for him. And if you can't, that's fine. You move on to the next season, to be very clear with India. But you have to start betting. In my opinion, as a small market team, you have to take risks in certain spots where you feel like you have the depth. And if you have the ability to go out and try to get pieces and backlog talent, that's what they're going to have to ultimately do. Because right now, the biggest disappointment that this franchise has is the gap between what they brought up last season, and I know that a plethora of those guys got hurt, etc. But the gap between those guys and the kids that are at single A, basically, your Colliers, your Stewarts, your Jorges, all of those guys, Hector Rodriguez, you name it. And let's be honest, a lot of those kids that are at Dayton right now, they look great, but by the time it all filters its way out and they get all the way to AAA and major leagues, let's face it, maybe 2 of those kids are left. But that's the thing, is you just got to keep replenishing this thing. And the thing that sucks is that they've been bad at doing that for what has been basically the last, 6, 7, 8 years prior to the last few, that we're paying for it. We're paying for it right now. And there's only one way to get out of that hole really quickly, and that's something that small market teams usually can't do, and that's just basically buy yourself out of it. And they're not capable of doing that. As much as we would hope for that to happen, they're not capable of doing that, especially when they have the contracts of Elly De La Cruz sitting around the corner. And I'm still going to hold out hope that that's going to get done. So, got a couple supers. I don't know how you're going to kind of want to go about this show. I say we just we'll ride this wave here that is people asking questions through supers about the trade, this trade in general. Of course, on a night like tonight, there's a tornado watch, so I have all my kids and my dog and everyone down here. I can barely hear myself talk half the time. Michael Rolfe coming in. He said, Nick, very simple. His team, I don't know what Rolfe is talking about, but he says, Nick, very simple. His team sucks, and he pulled a David Bell. Tried to rally the troops, wrong time for sure. Trace, let's go to a game. I think he's talking about
Council. That's
who he's talking about. Rolfe, we do need to go to a game. We will do that. Ryan Carroll says, Junis fits the Martinez role. I bet Martinez is traded by the deadline tomorrow. Ryan is a smart man. I don't want to say they have to trade Martinez because that would infer that you're going to trade him no matter what. But if you're going to get this back for Montas, I think you should get back at least 2x, whatever you want to calculate that in your brain for Martinez. Because Martinez can significantly help a postseason type team out in a multitude of roles, whether it be a semi-long reliever or whether it be a starter, or whether it even be a guy, Nick, where you have a good bullpen already and you only want him to come in and throw 1 inning. He can do all of that. And that has to be incredibly valuable to somebody.
I agree that they should be trying to trade Nick Martinez. I don't necessarily think this move in itself, just looking at this move, signifies anything. I think you could make this move if the Reds still, and I don't believe they feel this way, if the Reds still felt like they were trying to sort of go for it this year, I think you could still make this move, slide Martinez into the rotation if you believed in him more, and roll with that, and you just like that you got a player in Wiemer. I think this could be a one-off. I don't think it is, because I think that the Reds kind of made it clear. I think that Elly De La Cruz sitting on Monday was a pretty good indicator that they are going to sell more pieces. But I don't think this move necessarily in itself signifies that the Reds are going one direction or the other. One other point on Junis, he actually does have a mutual option for 2025. Those very rarely ever get picked up, but there is a $3 million buyout with that. So from Junis's perspective, maybe he would choose to pick it up. There's reason why the Reds would, if Junis wants to pick his option, whatever I'm trying to say.
I get what you're saying.
There's a reason why the Reds would, because it's $7 million or $3 million.
Right.
So there's a chance that Junis is still on the Cincinnati Reds in 2025. It's just worth noting.
Good for Montas too. I mean, he's going to go to a team that's obviously going to make the postseason, and maybe he'll help them out. And on top of that, he wasn't going to do a whole lot for us, and I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it genuinely doesn't matter. Like this trade, it can't hurt either team, in my opinion. It can't hurt either team. It could hurt the Brewers if Wiemer figures it out and he's a perennial all-star. Now, that happening is very rare, but that's the only way you're probably upset, right? Is that, we gave away Wiemer, who was a top 100 prospect, turns around, has a tough year. We get a little bit desperate at the deadline. We trade for Montas, who, he turns out he pitches for 2 months for us, doesn't really do all that well. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you have to play a team in division that has one of your guys that you traded away. I don't know, but I'm not going to crown anybody.
The Brewers have a lot of outfielders, so I think that's part of it. Back to your point about there being the gap between the Reds and Dayton. I totally agree with that. However, it's not that way in the outfield now. I mean, the Reds now have at AAA Blake Dunn, Jakob
football
Junis,
player.
And I know both of those guys have stunk, but both of those guys were the Reds minor league co-players of the year.
Well, that's a shame on us then.
Okay. I mean, they had bad years. They've both been hurt. I'm just saying they've had better years than Wiemer, the guy you just got. So if you're excited about Wiemer, I don't know. I don't know how you're excited about them if you're down to them. I'm just saying Blake Dunn, Jakob Junis, Rhys Hines, and Wiemer. So you have 4 outfield options that maybe one of those pan out, maybe 2 if you're really lucky, but at least you have more darts that you're throwing on the wall, right? That's my larger point is there is at least some depth in the outfield now beyond the big leagues. And there's not that in the infield. Now, the good news is the Reds infield's at the big league levels in a lot better shape than the Reds outfield at the big league level. So it does, the puzzle's a little bit clearer.
Maybe. I'm not suggesting what you're saying is completely wrong. You hope that one of those guys that you just listed ends up being a serviceable, good big league player. I just wonder if we have, basically 4 Diet Right sitting in the fridge and we're hoping that we'd actually have a Coca-Cola, and we'll find out. But I'm hoping at some point we got Coca-Colas in the fridge. We don't have, a bunch of Diet Rights that we convince ourselves, we're thirsty. It's been 30 years. We're pretty damn thirsty around here. That Diet Right ain't looking so bad, even though it still tastes disgusting. That's kind of my thought on the whole Rhys Hines, Blake Dunn, Jakob Junis, and now Wiemer. So
at least we bought one of those Diet Rights, though, with a coupon. We picked up Frankie Montas for nothing. He was just cash, like it was, and got a half a year of pitching out of him.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't going to come back next year. And at least one of those Diet Rights we didn't pay anything for. We have nothing invested into it. So
now I don't know if the chat's lying to us or not. Some folks are saying we have another deal. I don't know if that's true or not. The other thing I want to add is Evan did mention that we got $1 million back as well. So I don't know if maybe that was a part of the ask for what is essentially buying out. What is it? The $3 million you said that you have to pay if you end up using the option or declining the option, correct?
It's at $3 million if the Reds are the one who declines it. Yes.
Correct. Yeah. So maybe part of that $3 million, they're like, give us $1 million in return so we can only have to pay $2 million when we decline his option. Possible.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I guess it depends if if Junis is used as a starter or not. If the Reds use him as a reliever, you're probably going to decline that option. But if he's a legitimate starter or even a Nick Martinez type, then yeah. He's had an interesting career. Junis has had. I'll do a little bit more digging into him as the time goes on, but
it's hard to do this on the fly without question. The only thing I would add about, Wiemer is just he does look like an athlete, and I don't, no disrespect to like Hurtubise, but he just ceiling's much higher. Floors are probably a lot lower than Hurtubise, but at some point you got to be good enough regardless. Some
legit speed though between Hurtubise, Dunn, and Wiemer. I mean, those are three guys that rank in the 80 to 90 percentile in sprint speed. So that's cool. Ricky pointed it out in the chat. I did see this as well. Wiemer posted his UC picture on Twitter right after the trade was announced. It was the first time he had tweeted in like a year.
Yeah.
So
He's excited.
that's it's cool to get a guy that's excited to come over here and get a fresh start, and rooting like hell for you, buddy.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, listen, Sonny Gray was called a bum in New York, right? He was called a bum in New York. He comes over, and he obviously plays really, really well. And I'm sure Jesse Winker was called a bum in Washington, if they have any fans in Washington that talk about the baseball team. And I'm sure he was called a bum when he came over from the Mariners, and turns out he's all right. So it's just, baseball is a weird thing, You never know what can happen when you change into a new uniform, and Reds fans know all well about that. So I don't know what's left for this trade deadline. We'll find out. I mean, it certainly feels like Martinez and India are the two big names that we'll find out if they move or they don't move. It's just a kind of an ever-changing situation with this Reds team, but they very clearly today, in my opinion, pointed to the fact that they're looking to sell. I know what you're saying. You're saying that's not necessarily true because they might just think that Junis, is that how you say his name?
I think so. I hope so.
We all don't know. We don't know how to say Junis or Montas. Who knows? But anyway, maybe they think Junis can replace Montas, and it's just a wash, which is a wild thing if that's the case, because obviously Milwaukee felt crazy different about that.
I think it's. I see. Sometimes these pronunciations though don't really help you. It's the pronunciation says Joonis. So is that Jonas?
Hold on.
It's
Junis.
Junis.
Yep, Junis.
Jakob Junis. Okay. So like it sounds. I feel like the pronunciation though makes it
Joe. No, if it was I know that we're doing this in the middle of a big show here, but I'm pretty sure the pronunciation, if it says Joonis, it's Junis, like OO. If it was Jonas, it should be Johnis, right? That's what I would think. Yeah. Anyways, who cares? We'll figure out what his name is. Maybe Bally's already kind of figured that one out. So shout out to those guys. What?
His official nickname on Baseball Reference is Junebug.
That it is. Come on, Junebug. Throw it in there. Throw in the heater, Junie.
We're back, baby.
We're World Series bounds at this point. Kid's throwing the ball really well. 26 innings, 1 save, 10 games, 2.4 ERA. Doesn't even have a 1 whip. That's big league. I don't know. Shout out to I guess at this point we could talk about the game today. I really don't know what else to say about the trade. They made the right decision. And the biggest piece is that we got a lottery ticket in Wiemer. That's what this is. So, got anything left to add?
No. Buy me 30 seconds, and I'll do the box score recap.
30 seconds. He needs 30 seconds. I'm going to go through some super chats then as we do the 30-second rundown. Michael Rolfe coming in hot says, question for Trace, Nick in the chat. You go to a Reds game. What's the consumable purchase you have to make beyond beer? I'll die on the sword that it's the good old-fashioned bag of peanuts. I haven't had one in a long time because, I don't know, we've gotten soft and we don't send around the vendors through the stands, but I like lemon chills, personally. That's my go-to. If I see a lemon chill, I'm buying it. I don't know where those do those even exist anymore? I don't know. But that used to be my go-to. Incredible value. It was like $5. No, this was we won't get into that. This was a while ago, pre what some would call inflation. But it was like $5. You got a big old thing of a lemon chill, and I was all in on it. It's probably like $20 now, but that's here nor there. Singus says the Cubs can eat one. He didn't just say eat one. He said the Cubs can eat a fat one. He's talking about potato chips. Got my kids down here. And LFG Reds. That means love, forgiveness, go Reds. And Rolf comes back in the super chat again. He says, I remember a time when there weren't 400 plus people watching this chat. I remember a time when super chats interrupted the live stream. Evolution is everything, and I'm proud of what Trace and Nick have done with this stream. This is true. I mean, that is true. Michael Rolf's calling us out. That is true. Although it is very tough to see the supers when you're trying to have a baseball discussion from time to time. So thank you for the supers. Nick, I hear the tornado alarm going off through my window. I hope it's not coming through the stream, but I'll mute myself. Why? Because I want to hear all about the box score recap presented by Nick Kirby.
All right, Reds taking on the Cubs. Game 1 of 3 at Great American Ballpark. Carson Spires against Jameson Taillon. Reds did not get their lineup released until 6:21 p.m., just 49 minutes before first pitch. And with the trade deadline being at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, you would have to think those two things were related. Will Benson crushed a 2-run home run in the bottom of the second to put the Reds up 2-0. And then TJ Friedl, or no, not TJ Friedl, I'm sorry. And then in the bottom of the third, Spencer Steer doubled, stole third base, and then scored on a wild pitch, 3-0 Reds. In the bottom of the fifth, this is where TJ Friedl came into play. Friedl hit a 3-run home run, number 5 on the season. That would chase Taillon, who entered the game with a 2.96 ERA and had not given up 6 earned runs in any of his 17 starts coming into tonight. Taillon, a player the Cubs are shopping at the trade deadline, so a tough evening for them. Carson Spires had not started a game in 17 days, and he didn't even go on a rehab assignment start. Did struggle a little bit early in this game with his command, but then he retired the final 12 batters that he faced for a really great first start back. 5 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Spires only needed 68 pitches to get through this one. Spires now has a 3.46 ERA in 52 innings this season. Sam Moll threw a scoreless 6 with a strikeout. Justin Wilson, a perfect 7th with 2 strikeouts and what could be his final appearance with the Reds. Lucas Sims, a perfect 8th with a strikeout and what could be his final appearance with the Reds. And then Buck Farmer, he did give up a run in the 9th, but got through it to finish the game out. And what could be his final appearance with the Reds? Reds hang on to win 7-1. Reds now 51-50 on the season.
And we do have a deep drive of the day, baby. We got a real deep one. Came off the bat of Will Benson. And you know what? I got to be honest. I am thankful that Will Benson hit a home run because I was going to be concerned for our own fan base's health if I had to hear about what it could have been if Rhys Hines was at the plate instead of Will Benson. I know that I egged that on a little bit, but, at some point that becomes relatively tired. But you know what? Will Benson, he earned his keep tonight. 2-run shot. That's his 12th of the season. Exit velo of 105.2, 388 feet off the bat. If you care about launch angle, I personally don't. 38 degrees. That would give the Reds a 2-0 lead. Turns out that's all they would ever end up needing. It would change the win probability up to 72%, and as we all know, it would turn out to be 100%. The deep drive of the day is sponsored by DSC, that is Deep South Commodities, and they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com. Thank you to John. Shout out to all of our sponsors, Game Time, 988, and in this chat, if we're being completely frank. The chat, very important. Everybody that listens to this podcast, very important. Anybody that promotes what we do or tells somebody about what we do, very important. It's really the only reason that I can actually keep doing these, if we're being completely frank, because there's always a time of the day about 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and I'm like, got another show tonight. But you know what? By the time about 6, 7 o'clock rolls around, I'm feeling pretty good. So here we go. Let's talk about who? Carson Spires. Good for him, by the way. He didn't really have his, I don't want to say his command, but I felt like there was some nerves on the front end of this baseball game. He battled through it, got through it. Got some good defensive plays tonight, too, I thought, Nick. I thought, for the most part, the Reds played pretty sound defense, and Cubs can't say the same there. But nonetheless, another pretty good start. And it's important to note that he's needed right now to at least enjoy some what I would call respectable baseball out of this franchise or club or Major League Baseball team, whatever you want to call it.
One of the best stories of this season for the Reds. I don't think there's any question. I mean, this guy has put his name in the hat to be a starting pitcher in the Reds rotation in opening day next year. Wasn't on any of our radars. I mean, this guy was probably 10th or 11th on the Reds starting pitching depth chart when this year started. He bullied his way into the rotation, as I like to say, which is awesome. Good for him. I love what he's done. I wish there was more players that would have had the year Carson Spires had. We'd have a whole different show right now and a whole different mindset going forward. But how about 10 2/3 shutout innings against the Cubs this year? You'd love to see that.
It'd be nice if we could play the Cubs more times than not. And I don't know. Could you imagine? I was thinking it's been incredibly frustrating to be a Reds fan based off what you expected going into spring training and what you actually not even the rest of the season, what you came out of spring training with. Like that in and of itself was difficult, right? But I couldn't imagine being a Cubs fan because you come into the season, you're favored, quite frankly, to be at the top of this division or compete for a postseason spot. I'd be willing to bet if we went back and looked at the odds, I'd be willing to bet that the Cubs were favorites and or at least even money to make the postseason if I had to guess. And they find themselves in a position now where, I mean, they're complete losers. I mean, they're always losers, but they're mega losers as we speak here on July 29th. So not only that, but they have a payroll the size of West Texas. So shout out to Chicago for being a bum.
It was actually the Cardinals were number one, but it was close. The Cardinals were plus 175. Cubs were plus 190.
To win the division, yeah?
Win the division. Reds were third. Brewers were plus 750. We all are idiots for not putting some money on that. We're all idiots. All of us.
Plus
we should have known better.
750.
Plus 750
for the Brewers. Oh my God. And they ran away with it. Like I mean, maybe they blow up, but who knows? Wouldn't that be
lost Wiemer? I mean,
yeah, that's true. And they added Montas. So be careful. That's a loss every fifth day. I'm kidding. That's not true. I actually like Montas. I thought Montas came in with the right attitude, the right energy, did his best, and just didn't work out.
I agree. I liked him a lot. I hope he pitches terribly though for the Brewers the rest of the year.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
you're an enemy now, man. Like, I'm sorry. Thanks for bringing us a prospect.
That's got to be pretty weird as a player, don't you think? To where you're loved by a certain fan base, and then all of a sudden you're despised, just like that. And
loved might be strong.
I think he was loved after opening day. Yeah, I think he was.
Reds play the Brewers in a couple weeks, August.
Oh, good.
That's about a month, but August 9th. August 9th, 10th, and 11th. So, might get a chance to see Montas.
Yes. If we do, it'll be a sold-out crowd. It'll be a sold-out crowd.
It's in Milwaukee, but that'll at least be one fun night for us. No matter what happens, people are going to be interested.
Yes, they will. Only it's a damn shame they don't have to face like Luke Weaver either. Like that would be a fun little deal. Although the Reds did face Luke Weaver, I think.
Did he throw 2 shutout innings?
Yeah, and he did. Yeah, he's pretty good. All right, Benson, Friedl, and Candy. Obviously, they all went deep. Benson had a really good at bat before he hit the home run too. You know, like that. Even if he were to get out in that situation, he had a pretty productive at bat. Ended up catching a breaking ball middle of the zone and launched it to the moon. The only thing I'm going to say about Benson is just like, I just hope we can find some semblance of consistency, man. I'm so tired. And maybe it's just like the Jay Bruce, and then you jump into you jump in now to a situation where our outfield is just completely inconsistent. And trust me, if we got Jay Bruce, I'd be more than thrilled to death, by the way. I don't want anybody to think that's a slander against Jay. It's more along just the ebbs and flows of how what seems like our outfielders are. I would just like to have a consistent player. And even if that means that he doesn't get as red hot from time to time, that's fine. I just can't have the absolute lows that he's had. And he's really only had, basically 45 days of absolute abysmal baseball. And then outside of that, he's been okay. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's been okay. And I know people aren't going to be happy with me saying that, but that's been the truth.
There's guys all across baseball that have had sophomore slumps, which you hope that's what it is for Will Benson. Now, that doesn't make it any easier when you're trying to team build for 2025, trying to figure out. Now, a left-handed batting platoon player, you can build a roster and find a way for him to fit in. I know a lot of people hated when I said that when I said this offseason, the Reds should just pretend like they don't have Spencer Steer. Build a team, and then you can plug Spencer Steer in somewhere. And, well, that actually came to fruition pretty well because you could plug him in about 7 different spots as the season played out. And I think that could be like kind of what you have with Will Benson. I still believe in him. I don't know. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I've seen enough good from him that I think there's a real possibility that this is nothing more than a sophomore slump, that the really, really bad 45 days or whatever it was, like you mentioned, has really dragged down his whole season. He was the Reds' best hitter last year. Like, I think we forget he had the highest OPS on the team last year. I don't even have it up. I don't want to look.
The chat got me, man. I'm sorry. I can't even say it on air. It's clean to say, but I can't say it because it's that bad. It's not appropriate by any stretch of the imagination. And you know what? This is a baseball show. People tune in to talk serious baseball, so that's what we're going to continue to do. TJ Friedl. This is why I'm sad, to be honest. So today I'm watching the game, and you watch TJ obviously hit a home run, and then you see TJ catch a ball in the outfield as he scrapes against the wall and kind of spins up against the fence and makes a great catch. And I don't know. It's not woe is us. I don't want it to come off that way. It's just that he's the guy. He's one of the glue guys. I think it's him and Matt McLain personally, and I think Ellie De La Cruz is a superstar. I'm not trying to dismiss what he means to the team by any stretch of the imagination, but if you get 2 consistent players at those positions, second base, when you already have a shortstop, to be clear, and not only that, but you could probably give Ellie, like, I'm going to say days off. It's funny how when Ellie gets a day off, they find a way to win. I don't know. But point is that, you know, it wouldn't be as big of a dramatic deal if Ellie got the day off and you had Matt McLain playing shortstop. But since it's Espinal, people get up in arms about it. But you need consistency, and it just seems like TJ Friedl would have provided that if he'd able to stay healthy. And it's just a weird situation because now I don't trust the fact that he's going to stay healthy, but I also will openly admit, Nick, that I don't think we have a huge hole in center field, because if he's capable of playing, then I love him.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about acquiring center fielders, and I'm just like, TJ Friedl's better than half of these guys that you could acquire on the open market, I think.
Yeah, he is.
I think. Now, Friedl's kind of got a pass this year because he's been injured. He's not hit this year. I mean, it's been a very, very small sample, but he's not got the same pass that, or he has got a pass that other players this year haven't got. So I would like to see TJ Friedl stay healthy and perform well. I think it was all injury related. I feel pretty confident in that. but they're also so guaranteed. I mean, this guy came in with an 82 WRC plus entering the game. I mean, he was hitting 208, 306, 340, and gets none of the slander that Will Benson gets.
Yeah, it's fair. The biggest disappointment, if you want to call it disappointment, you start talking about the outfield, is without question Friedl. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say that you don't rely on him ever again, but I genuinely think that's where I'm at. And I know you really can't, what's the word to use here? Like, I don't blame Friedl because I know that he's had a tough season personally. So I'm not trying to kill him by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just going to be interesting going into the next season what ultimately transpires. And TJ Friedl, I think if he's healthy and over a long period of time, his numbers will come back to being around what we thought that they were going to be and what they were closer to last season.
And Friedl, to be fair to TJ Friedl, his bar of hitting is significantly lower than Will Benson and Jake Fraley. If TJ Friedel's a league average hitter, he's a good player because he plays great defense, great base running. Yep. Jake Fraley has to be a well above average hitter. Right. Same with Will Benson. So I want to be fair to TJ Friedl. I am just saying, like, his numbers have not been great this year, and he has got a little bit of a pass on that, which I do think is deserved. But I would just like to see him finish the year strong. Like to see Benson finish the year strong. Fraley, I don't know what Fraley is. I have absolutely no idea. If he completely resorted back to the player we saw his first couple years in Cincinnati next year, I could see it happening. If he's just a guy that his power's been zapped and he's kind of, I don't know. Jake Fraley, the weird thing is he almost has the career of the guy he was traded for.
I know.
Jesse Winker. I mean, Jesse Winker fell off a cliff more because Jesse Winker didn't even have like the batting average, but Jesse Winker's power just got completely zapped for like a year and a half. And now look, he just got traded at the trade deadline to the Mets as an acquisition. So I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. The line between a lot of these players is like who goes where. It's so hard to predict players that are kind of in the boat that both Benson and Fraley are in right now.
It seems like this game or this era of baseball right now, there seems to be a very clear difference between what seems to be the vast majority of players, which are average at best, and on a given year, they might play a little bit above their weight, and then there's times where they fall off a cliff, and bona fide consistent superstars, which is why Elly De La Cruz is so important, because it's just hard for me to think of a situation that Elly wouldn't be incredibly good. So, last point on Friedl here before we move on. I also think it's unfair to judge Friedl this year totally with the whole hitting situation, because when you get injured as many times as he's gotten injured and then have to come back and then get injured again, you just don't have what I would say like a good ramp up. And the one time they didn't even throw him down on a rehab assignment. They just stuck him right out there, which I think both of us were a little confused as to why they did that, but maybe they just thought he was the best option moving forward regardless of rehab or not. So, Candy, glad to see you hit a home run. Don't know if I have much to add to him. He hit a what I would call a meaningless, what we call a meaningless run differential home run, but I'm glad he got into one. That was good to see.
Could be his last at-bat with the Reds.
Well, I hope it is.
Honestly, with all due respect, I'm sorry, Jamer, there was a trade that happened. He really should have been the deep drive of the day. That was the longest hit ball. Yeah. So I do feel like Will's meant a little more, though, like to your point. But
of course,
I think there's a 35% chance that he gets traded. Over under.
I think it's under. Just based off of his contract. Do you think someone's going to pick his contract up?
I think someone might pick a part of his contract.
All right, so you think the Reds are willing to just forego on some of it, yeah?
Well, the Ty France move makes me think that it feels like that could have been a precursor. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, the Reds could use both of them to get through this season. There's plenty of at bats to go around.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it might happen.
We'll see. It's hard to know. I hope they do, though. But I guess I only say I hope they do based off the contract. Not that it's going to be the end of the world if they can't get rid of him, but at the same time, I just don't think moving forward, I love that contract. And I think, Nick, in a weird way, it goes back to just me being like pessimistic about the inconsistencies of players. Like, he's another guy that was absolutely horrible to start the season, got hot, played really good for a decent stretch, 30, 45 days probably, somewhere in there. And then just completely falls off the face of the earth again, and then maybe he'll come back again. Who knows? But feels like Animal House at my house right now, by the way. I am doing my best to power through this show. But, I mean, when I tell you that you can't make up tornado warnings, like I don't know. You know, God bless us for being safe, but your boy here is just, my brain is in a pretzel every time I start to try to make a point.
One last kind of thought just about Candelario. I do think it's fair to mention that he has had some injuries this year and he's played through them, tried to gut through them. I wouldn't even be shocked if it ever came out down the road that Candelario, if the Reds would have been more healthy, would have got put on the IL maybe at some point. But because of how dire it was, he tried to play through some of these injuries. With Candelario, I don't think his contract is a bad contract, or I don't think it's a terrible contract. I don't think it's going to sink the Reds. I don't think the Reds have to move it and eat half of it at all costs by any stretch of the imagination. But I will say it's hard for me to see Jeimer Candelario's contract becoming a great value for the Reds over the next 2 years. Like, I just have a hard time believing that a year, next trade deadline, we go, oh, man, we really should not have got rid of that Jeimer Candelario contract. I think I have a hard time believing that would bite the Reds. But I don't think it's also an absolute, you must trade him at the same time.
I agree. I also think it depends on what they plan on doing in the offseason. And if they plan on trying to go out and make a big splash offensively, and some of the reason to being able to do that big splash offensively has to do with dumping some of the contract from Candelario, then I think that you have your clear-cut answer as to what I would prefer to have happen. So we'll see what they end up doing. We don't have a lot of time left here. We got basically less than a day? Is that where we're at?
We have about 19 hours.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I can't do math on the fly. Don't want to do it in public. But as always, if you have not already, please like the stream. If you're new to the show, we do one after every single game. Not every single game is a player traded, so I do understand why there are a significant amount more people in here tonight. And we also beat the Cubs 7-1, so that helps. But if you have not downloaded the Game Time app, then tonight's the night to do it. Just download the Game Time app. You never know when you're going to need it. You can go to concerts. You can go to Reds games, obviously. Maybe FC Cincinnati's in town. You want to go watch a little soccer game? I personally got to go watch a soccer game down at TQL Stadium. By soccer, I mean football. I got to watch 93 minutes of soccer, and I got to see FC score 0 goals. Now, a thrilling time, I must say. But, yeah, you can go do that as well. Or maybe you want to go to perhaps a Bengals game. That's right around the corner. Download the Game Time app. Use the code CINCY, CINCY. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. And if you've listened to this show at all, you know we love the app. We personally use it. 2 clicks, and you can check out. You can also see your seat from the little map view, the map view that they have. And it's a good app. Download it and use the code CINCY, CINCY. $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply.
And of course, you might have a chance tomorrow to see the debut of Ty France.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the hell you're going to get a ticket, but you can try. Download the Game Time app. See what happens. What are tickets going for down there right now anyway? $5, $10, something like that probably?
Well, until Ty France was announced, I think I saw them skyrocket.
Yeah. David Bell bobblehead's probably ringing them all in there here relatively soon. 988. What are you laughing at? 988. Text, call. especially if you have to watch the Reds on a nightly basis. It's a very, very smart thing to do to have that thing on speed dial. Tonight's not one of those nights for many of you, but perhaps if your name's Reed Mouse, you might want to have that hanging around. 988, text, call. As always, we appreciate our friends at the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation. Life is better with you in it. And as always, you can go to mantherapy.org. If you're ever in a spot where you need some help, mantherapy.org. Visit it whenever. 24 hours a day, it is open right there online. All right, let's jump into it. Some things that we probably won't have a lengthy discussion about, but might as well just bring them up here relatively quickly. Sims and the bullpen. I will openly admit that I came downstairs to get the show set up and turn the TV on. By the time I got to everything, it was in the middle. It was we were in the bottom of the 8th inning, so I didn't get a chance to see these guys. You have something to add or thoughts on them?
No, I mean, I think Sam Moll's probably safe, but I mean, I wouldn't put it completely past the Reds to trade him if someone came calling with a massive
Buck Farmer
offer. But yeah, Justin Wilson, Lucas Sims, and Buck Farmer, David Belly used all the guys that he may not have tomorrow. Went ahead and got an inning out of all of them. I did just want to say something about Lucas Sims, just because he's the one that's kind of been the longest. Well, Buck Farmer's been here quite a while and done a really nice job as well, so probably deserves some accolades if he is on the way out. But Lucas Sims, I think he did a really nice job for the Reds. Our friend Reds and 4 pointed something out that I think is really good. And it got me kind of thinking, closers, we always talk about closers, how that's a thankless job, right? Setup man is probably even a more thankless job. It's like, at least the closers, like, you get those final outs of the game when you get it. You're on the highlight at the end of the game. Every single highlight shows the last out. And so the closers kind of get those accolades. Yep. Whereas the guys that are in the 7th and 8th inning, you only remember the bad times. And Lucas Sims, I think, has had a really good career with the Reds. Something that I think really when I noticed was a lot of people like to forget that year, and I don't blame them. In 2020, Lucas Sims was dominant down the stretch when the Reds won 10 of 12 to get into the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, if that would have been a different year, I think it's probably remembered a lot more. If the Reds had made the playoffs, Lucas Sims, I think, could have been a guy that got some of those huge outs that you would remember. So I think he did a really nice job for the Reds. I would love for the Reds to bring him back as a free agent this offseason, but I think he's going to be a very coveted, as I said before, free agent, just because his stuff plus numbers are through the roof. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that go, we can make him even better. Now, whether they will succeed or not, that's to be debated, but I think he'll probably be priced out for the Reds. But I did just want to say, I appreciated Lucas Sims. I think he deserves a little bit more, praise than I thought. I think he kind of got because of some tough outings over the last really couple years.
Lucas Sims was the benefactor of some unfortunate situations where he did not get meaningful outs at the right time in some big baseball games that people hold on to, and that's the truth. Overall, when you look at it from a holistic view, Sims was more than above average for this club, and we'll see ultimately what it holds for not just him, but like you said, Buck Farmer's another guy. Martinez, we've already talked about him at length. Diaz, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't want to get too far down the beaten path. I can almost literally name every single reliever that's in that pen and probably say, there's a chance. But, who knows? I think that we are both on the same. We don't always agree on everything, Nick, but I think we both actually genuinely agree on the whole bullpen value of relief pitchers. Like, it's hard to put stock in relievers unless you have an extremely elite one. And even those feel like at times they're very, very Jekyll and Hyde, if we can use that term. So we'll see. I don't know what ultimately ended up happening. We kind of talked on Counsell and the Pearson situation there right before we went on, and then we jumped into Montas because that happened really quickly. But I will openly say again, I don't think that he was throwing at Tyler Stevenson. I thought Tyler Stevenson reacted fine. David Bell reacted fine. I do think Stevenson let his emotions get the best of him a little bit. Like, I think he was just like trying to say, like, come on, man, not at my head. Like, I love you, Tyler. That's fine, but I don't think he was aiming at your head. I just think that the ball got away from him, and you can be mad. If you get hit in the head, you're allowed to get mad. So I'm not frustrated at anybody. I understand, sadly, every single person's role in this whole situation and why they acted the way they did. I just hope, to be very clear, that there's no retaliation from the Reds the Cubs shouldn't retaliate, but I just don't want this whole stupid song and dance for the rest of the series. Because if Ellie De La Cruz, I'm going to tell you right now, gets hit because of some bullshit, excuse my language with the kids in the around, that is when I will burn the place down. Okay? You like Wrigley Field? I don't really mean this, but I kind of mean it. We'll just burn Wrigleyville to the ground if you hurt Ellie De La Cruz because you decide you're going to throw at somebody because there's this song and dance going on. That's all I got.
I think if you get hit in the head, you're allowed to have whatever reaction you want. Like, you get hit in the head.
You're not allowed to kill anybody with the baseball bat, Nick.
Okay. I mean, you're allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to demonstrate however you want. You get hit in the head. I mean, this is their livelihood. I don't think it was intentional, but the situation, you just got absolutely gave up a moonshot to Jamer Candelario, and then you hit the next guy in the head. It doesn't look good. I think it should have been a moment where Craig Counsell just sits his ass down and shuts his mouth. His reliever hit a guy in the head. It's just not a time that I think you should go out and argue. I think it's classless. I really do. I think it's classless to come out and sit and argue and not just argue, but belabor it. Like, your dude hit a guy in the head. I think it was a classless move by Craig Counsell. I think he's taken out his frustration on the miserable season that he's had as the highest paid manager of all time. I think he was taking his frustration out after his reliever hit a player in the head, and I thought it was disgusting.
I see what you did there. Yeah, that was pretty good. Those were a lot of like knives in the back. You just kept digging that thing in there. You're just twisting it. Highest paid manager, worst season. You should have had the Brewers. You turn around, you look up at the division. Well, who is that? Oh, it's my old ex. They're doing great without me.
Plus 750.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough look for the managers or important crowd. I can tell you. That's a bad look. It's a bad look.
The worst look ever for that.
Yeah, if you're trying to argue managers don't mean a whole lot, just point towards the Milwaukee Brewers. Who knows? Maybe they got an excellent manager too, though. Pat Murphy's no slouch. Came from Arizona State. Shout out to college baseball. But he got ran out of Arizona State too. That's what's funny.
I'm not disrespecting anyone on the Milwaukee Brewers ever again.
We got some more supers from Michael Rolfe. He is on a super streak tonight. This dude he's the man. What can you say? He's the man. Rolfe said, I am marrying Fergie Fowler. My wife will love her more than me. I don't know about that. If you do, you better. In fact, and I don't know what kind of bankroll we have, perhaps at the Rolfe family, but it seems like there's one. Figure out how much perhaps I get in settlement. I don't think that's how that works, though, usually for the one that's getting left, but that's here nor there. Anyway, he said, I'm moving her out of the tornado. Allie, we will pitch the show to Bravo. Instant hit. Rolfe has been is he in the bourbon tonight or not? I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out as we go here. And he said, the last question for the CBOX staff. Trace, what's the batting order 1 through 9? Nothing to do with work. Who is bringing the hammer? First of all, I don't think we have enough employees to hit 9 guys. But,
that's a good question.
I don't know. Hate to say this, but if I had to, this is I'm saying as humbly as possible. I'm fairly confident I'd be the best hitter in the Chatterbox. Now, I know Reed might have something to say about that. Maybe we can get to the bottom of that. I don't know. We'll have to go to like a pitching machine or something. We'll find out. All right, what do we have here? We got Reds MILB. I got Thunder coming through the windows right now. What a wild time to be alive. And also, thank you all so much for supporting our show. 145 likes. Is there any chance we can get that to 200? We got 350 in the chat currently. Let's see if we can't get that to 200 before the nights end. All right, let's jump into it. I couldn't go a night without knowing exactly what Austin Hendrick did. I can't wait to hear all about it. Let's find out together, shall we? The Reds MILB presented by Nick Kirby.
Fortunately, I have to wait another night for Austin Hendrick. Only one game today.
Mm.
The Dominican, well, there was actually 3 games, but they were all the Dominican
That's
Summer
right. It's
League.
Monday.
The DSL Reds, he beat up on the DSL Royals Fortuna 18-4. Just
Woo!
a whipping. Almost as worse than the Cubs. I mean, I can't even believe that's possible. But a good day from the Reds' top prospect down there, Adolfo Sanchez, on base 4 times with a triple. Trevor Moriallo walked twice. Yekel Soriano 2 for 5 with 2 doubles. And then the DSL Rojos, they had a tough day. Lost 10-8. That was a game that was completed from earlier. And then they lost 3-0. Nabio Mariano, the only player we're tracking, was 0 for 3. So that's your Reds MILB. You got off the hook tonight, Trey.
I have a circus going on down here. Might as well call this place the zoo. I mean, you guys have no clue what's going on in my house. Anyway, we do have who, what, when, where, and why. They play baseball tomorrow. There's a trade deadline tomorrow. Me and Nick, I think we both said we're going to do our best to be ready to go live whenever, wherever, however it may go down. The deadline is what, 6 o'clock?
Yeah, the deadline is 6. I will go live at some point in the afternoon. I'm just going to kind of wait and see because I don't want to say, I'm going to go live at 2 o'clock and then the Reds, make a bunch of trades at noon. So we'll wait and see. If nothing's happened, I'll go live at some point in the afternoon. Craig is also willing to join. I got some other folks that might join. So we'll go live at some point. The cool thing, though, Trace, is if you subscribe to Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, you click the bell in the top right corner. You'll be notified anytime that we go live. So that way I don't have to tell you. We'll and believe it or not, I'll tweet it out. I always do.
Right.
So we'll do something tomorrow, and then we'll still do a post-game show and recap whatever goes down. And knock on wood, I kind of hope it doesn't happen tonight because I'm getting a little tired. But if there's another trade, I'll come back on the air and talk about it. If it's
meaningful.
I'm going to, Justin
That's
Wilson, with all
use.
due respect, I don't think I'm going to come back on for you. That'll just be in the podcast form.
Damn, tough. Shots fired. Yeah. Alex Young, Justin Wilson, tomato. Kind of. Who, what, when, where, and why. Can't wait to watch the Red starter.
Yeah, what are they going to do tomorrow? I don't know if Julian Aguilar, I don't know if he's available to come up. Man, that's good luck figuring that out, especially
Connor
at the shopping
Phillips.
mart. He hasn't pitched in like 2 months.
Nah, he's due. I'm
that would be an
joking.
experience.
I'm joking.
All right. Justin Steele for the Cubbies, having a good year. He's got a 5.75 ERA in his career against the Reds. Has pitched a lot better this year. India has a home run against him. Stevenson has a home run against him. 7-10 tomorrow. Should be a fun one, Trace. We'll see what's left.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? Let's do it, Nick. Let's do it. How many games back are we, Nick?
Well, unfortunately, the Mets won tonight.
So
still 5, but Trace
5. That's it. Just 5 back.
But not just 5 back. 5.5 back out of not 1, not 2, but 3 playoff spots.
Holy smokes, we might take them all. I can't wait.
Craig said Lyon. I think Lyon pitched on the 25th. Is that 5 days?
Yep, that would be Lyon.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, tomorrow would be. Yep. So yeah, Lyon's probably already.
Yeah, he's on the Greyhound.
On his way. He's on the taxi squad if he doesn't come up.
All right, folks. We have a pillow because we have traditions, and we're gonna do the pillow, and then I'm going to do 2 dunks because I said that I was going to do a dunk for the last game that they won. Where was I at? I was in
the city of the team that just lost tonight.
Yeah, but I was in the South Side, pretty deep in the South Side. What was that? What was that city called? West Pullman. That's right. Shout out to West Pullman, though. No disrespect. No disrespect. Nice. Very good, John. Yeah, looks good. All right.
Got a little bouncing action.
Yeah, a little bouncing action. And, all right, folks. I'm going to hit the outro. We're going to do 2 dunks tonight. And we're going to do our best, as always, to be live and in charge whenever it is that the Reds make a move. Because they're going to make one. Just a matter of when and where and who. So we'll find out together tomorrow. We'll go live as quickly as humanly possible. In the meantime, you enjoy this lovely weather that is tornado weather in Southwest Ohio. And if it's not tornado weather by the time you wake up, just enjoy the sunshine. Because you know why? You get to live another beautiful day on this green earth. Every time I think to myself, this sucks. This season sucks. Cannot believe we're in this spot. I always remember, life is about perspective. And you could be a Cubs fan. And boy, that would really suck. That would really suck. So, shout out to the Cubs for making me feel better. Love all of you. Like the stream. I'm going to go dunk a basketball 2 times. 2 times. Really bad night, but you know what? Still an athlete. Love y'all. We'll be back better than ever tomorrow.